Welcome to the Ubuntu Room, where we talk all things personal empowerment, all things spiritual development, and everything in between. A place where we recognize that the power is in our hands to create the lives that we desire, and that everything we seek is actually within us. So whether you're peeking around the corner with curiosity, or you're sitting in the thick of it with your own spiritual development, I have a feeling there's something here for you. So grab your notebooks, people, and let's get to it. Hi. We're doing this. Hi, my name is Sardano, and this is the Ubuntu Room. I am so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining all of us. So, as Heather said, we are talking about Chapter 4. This is week 3 of the Ubuntu Room, and I'm going to get right into it about manifestation. So we have this conversation a lot. Actually, off camera, Freddie and I were having the conversation about manifestation. And I tease him. I'm like, you think it's stupid. But he doesn't. He just doesn't understand why it gets thrown around the way it does. So I'm going to just give a quick manifestation 101. And then I want to get into it because I want to hear about how everybody, what they think about manifesting, what they're trying to manifest and can't or having difficulty doing so. And I just want to do a quick rundown. Manifestation is not magic. All it is creation. That's all it is. When we desire something, we then set an intention. I want a relationship. I want a nurturing relationship. We set the intention. That's step 1 in manifestation. Step 2 is clearing out the obstacles, and I'll circle back to step 2. And step 3 is allowing the opportunities to come your way to then take the steps to create the life or to create what it is you desire. That's all it is. But what happens is people lose sight of the obstacles that often need to be cleared out. And I just want to say one more thing about manifestation that is really important. And I talked about this last week. Everything is energy. We've talked about this. We've talked about this ad nauseum. Most of us will probably agree that everything is energy. And everything carries a frequency, a vibration. And if I want to manifest something, I want to manifest a healthy relationship, I have to match the frequency of that thing. So if the healthy relationship, I have to ask myself, what do I feel? What do I desire in that healthy relationship? Well, I want to feel appreciated and loved and nurtured and cared for. And I want to feel like I have security. Well, then I have to match that frequency. I have to have self-love and self-care and feel secure and whatever other things that I mentioned. And I don't do that by vision boards. I'm going to get irreverent for just a second. And I don't do that by wishing an abracadabra and holding a crystal in my hand. I do that by acting in ways that are caring for myself and acting in ways that are showing appreciation for myself and acting in all those ways. And when I do those things and raise my frequency, I then align with that. And if something comes my way that isn't what I want, all it's doing is showing me the obstacle, remember step 2 of manifestation, that I have to push out of the way. Not even push out of the way, I have to dig into and unravel and do all this stuff. So that obstacle goes out of the way so I can get closer to what it is what I want to manifest. That's really manifestation in about 4 minutes. So you're welcome. And I really want to call me. And I really want to hear what your guys' thoughts are because I do think that there is a misunderstanding. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest takeaway from this chapter was that our thoughts are energy and that it raises our frequency in ways, and that's how we manifest things. And the first example that I thought of, I wrote it down because I tend to forget what I was going to say. When I was growing up, I'd have incredible test anxiety. I would always get super, super nervous when a test would come up, and I held myself to a high standard with my grades. It was always A's, always B's. And I would have all these negative thoughts about myself saying, I'm going to fail. This isn't going to be good for me, blah, blah, blah. My dad would always tell me, say, you're going to get an A, you're going to get an A, you're going to get an A. Just say it out loud, repeat it to yourself. And I would do that. And then sure enough, I would get an A or maybe a B plus or something like that. But it was a good grade. And maybe it was the fact that maybe I was smarter than I thought I was, or that I just raised my frequency to a point where I manifested a good grade. I don't know. It was the first thing that came up in my mind when I read that. So,
but there's a level of belief.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
you know, your father believed in you.
Yeah.
Which it elicited a belief in yourself. And if you don't mind, Wendy, I want to use the example we were talking about. So Wendy brought up to me in a conversation that she was talking about finances, right? And how I want. I want money. Like, we all want money because we understand that money is the currency to get what we want, right? And I said, but what do you really want? And she was like, I want freedom.
Yep.
And that's really, I always write in everything, all we want is joy, peace, and freedom. I mean, in other things like abundance, but joy, peace, and freedom. I want freedom. And what she did was, and I want you to talk about this a little bit, she realized that the other ways in her life that she could elicit feelings of freedom, and not only did it take the edge off of having to be that, but it also brings her closer to that because she aligns with that frequency, right, Wendy?
Very much. It actually does. So I have had this conversation even with my husband. We have been for a long time in survival mode. And when you fall into survival mode, you fall into old patterns. And just that question that you posed, what is it that you really want? What is that money going to give you? That unlocked the door of freedom. That's all I want. I want to be able to know that the bills are paid, and if I want to get up tomorrow and go and travel somewhere, that I'm not going to have to look at the bank account first. I want to be able to, order something or, do something that my son wants to do.
Yeah.
So it's that level of freedom. And what has happened in accepting that, there are times that things pop up. Like, I forget what it was that I ended up manifesting, like a gift card to somewhere or something. When we last had our donation thing, I did put the what you call it, the
fundraiser.
The fundraiser. Thank you. I was
Donation
forgetting
thing.
the mouth sounds. We did the fundraiser, and I put in for one of the raffles, and I won one of the things there. Was able to have like a dinner coupon. So one day we were like, let's go. It's the freedom to be able to move and
I
how
get
it
that
shows up.
completely.
It does not
Yeah.
have to be money. It could be in the thing that you need itself without needing the actual funds. So it's the freedom of that and how that manifests without necessarily needing the funds to do so.
It's really something,
It's
right?
interesting because you
It
don't
is.
really actually look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Like, you don't actually realize this is what I actually want, and it's not like that first thing that comes over our head is money.
Yeah.
It's that freedom.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So many people think there's some sort of like magic here. And, again, I want a new car and I'm going to take it out of a magazine, and I'm 1985. I'm
Yeah.
going to get it out of a magazine, and I'm going to put it on my vision board. And then when it doesn't happen, well, it's stupid and it's magic that I can't do it. And no, the power is in all of our hands. And you see how excited I get, because my entire mission is to help people understand their own power, so they stop looking outside of themselves
Yeah.
to create to get the lives that they desire. And when they learn that they're the creator of this,
Yeah.
and it starts here in their belief that there's nothing that you can't do. Like, oh, I just want to smash my life.
Freddie, she's coming for you. She's coming for you.
I had coffee.
Oh, he has a
There's
question.
What about repetition? Constantly reminding yourself that it does exist, day in and day out. So when it rains, it's okay to get wet, and it doesn't diminish that whole enthusiasm you're talking about. How do you stay focused day after day?
Consistency. Consistency.
How do you do that?
Yeah, how do you be consistent? Well, first, you really have to commit to yourself. And you hear all like the Tony Robbins, like all the gurus, like, you just got every day, you just got to do it. You just got to do it. You just got to show up. And sometimes it's harder to show up. So just as an example, I started doing Tai Chi. And I do Tai Chi for old ladies. So I'm in my kitchen, doing my thing. And some days I have this like full routine that I do. And then other days I only feel like doing half of it. But I show up every day and I do something.
Yeah,
so there are just,
exactly.
you really, I think, have to have grace with yourself. So it's such a good question, Freddie, because people are so afraid, more so, they're not as afraid of failure as they are of success, because it's such this place that they're not familiar with. And so it's just easier not to show up. It's easier to blame. It's easier to self-sabotage. We talked about this earlier. It's easier to just kind of live in that belief of, well, it'll never happen for me. It must be like that brass ring. It must be for somebody else. And it's difficult. It's a difficult pill to swallow when you accept that I can create all of this. Sometimes I'm in a big pile of doo-doo and I have to pull myself out and then create what I want. But I have the ability. It's easier just to point the fingers, but I'm telling you, wherever my camera is, this one, I'm telling you, the power is yours. It's yours. And if you just show up once and you see some sort of positive consequence for your showing up, it will make you want to do Tai Chi in your kitchen the next day. And then all of a sudden you go like this and there's a muscle in your arm and you're like, holy crap. And then you start working on your legs and you watch your awareness expand, your consciousness expand, your experiences expand. And then you'll be bashing the mic on the table the way I am, because I'm telling you, it's beautiful on the other side.
And it's contagious.
It's contagious. Heather's like, oh my God.
No, yes, and I agree. And even from, I might get like a little nerdy or sciencey. Oh my God, the table's not here. From like a neuroscience point of view, our brain is wired to kind of work against us when we are first trying or like forming new habits because we don't have those pathways yet formed in our brain. So quite literally, it's like your brain is using more energy to create those new habits. So it's like, no, we can't do that. This is too much work. We don't want to do this. But you have to keep showing up, and your brain is going to form like all these new little pathways. And before you know it, you have this like super strong little thing in your brain, and it's like, okay, it's a habit now.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
You know how long it takes?
I was gonna give you a part two, but she answered it. Is it more difficult for our age group to sort of relate to that age group at an understanding that they have? And part two of that question is the female and the male version of that understanding equal or different?
Firstly, I just want to piggyback what Heather was saying. I learned, and it could be different, but I learned it takes 21 days to make or break a habit.
Yeah.
So if you can commit to yourself for 3 weeks, then those neural pathways, Smarty McSmart Pants, you'll develop that new habit, and then you build on that habit. As far as, is it more difficult for our age group? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You guys, the youth. That's why, first of all, you want to start with the little kids. They don't ever need to know another way. I used to joke when my kids are little, I'm like, they're not going to know what chocolate is till they go to kindergarten. I'm going to tell them it's duty, so they don't want to eat candy, you know? But at your age, when you create the habits and you show up for yourself and you understand your worthiness and you understand your discernment and you forgive readily and you do all the things that you need to do to be aligned, to manifest what you want, you're the new wave of the new generation. And as far as men and women, I plead the fifth. No, I'm just kidding. As far as men and women are concerned, I think men and women get it differently. You know, they wrote the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. So you just have to understand as the man and as the woman how you operate and address it that way. And the thing is women have, you know, the feminine energy, and the feminine energy is about nurturing, it's about intuition, it's about creating. But they also have masculine energy to do and to protect, take action. But when they are in balance, they're predominantly the feminine energy, and they're balanced with the masculine energy. The men are the opposing side. So the men they are doers, they are creators, they are protectors, and they're balanced with their nurturing, with their intuition. So when the male is balanced in his masculine and feminine energies, and the woman is balanced in hers, and they come together, then they can create universes together. You know what I mean?
1000%.
So I sidestepped your question.
Gato, how do you feel about that answer?
I think that's a great answer. I mean, regardless of what relationship you're in, if you're able to actually have a good standing with your partner, I think that's the best way to kind of grow.
Exactly.
And I love that. I mean, you're talking about manifestation. I think that for us, especially for college students or anyone that's starting, a lot of people kind of see the woo and they're like, I don't really mess with it. I don't really understand it. But like you said, understanding the repetition, the manifestation, making it so that way you can grow yourself by understanding yourself first, I think it does so much for you. And even for, when you're talking about this, I'm thinking about all of our interns, like all of the struggles they go through, and how impactful it could be for them to actually understand themselves and to actually manifest what they want for themselves. Because a lot of the times is we kind of look at what's wrong with us because we're in a pool full of a lot of sharks, I think.
Yes.
Especially in our field, all the media. There's so many people that are doing media right now that you kind of think of yourself as a little fish, you know, and you're like, I'm surrounded by so many sharks, I'm going to get eaten. But if you actually start manifesting for yourself that I know what I'm doing, I know what I can do,
I'm a shark.
even if I don't know how to do it right now, if I can just sit there and try to ask someone to learn, you know, you realize you're a shark. I mean, you might be a hammerhead, not a great white, but regardless, you're still a
nurse
shark.
shark.
Yeah. And you're saying that it's clicking for me so much, or it's like, even for me, there's been times where I feel like I'm overwhelmed, but I'm like, I got to keep going at it. I got to make sure that I'm still learning. And it's like seeing everything that we built out today. It's pure trying to know that I'm the best at what I can do. And I'm trying to do the best that I can with what I got.
That's all that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
That's it.
I
Yeah,
love this
that's it.
mug here. If I read it out, it says, allow yourself the freedom to be yourself. It is you who places the restrictions. Allow what wants to flow without question, without analysis, just be. And that is exactly what I think
It
is so impactful for everyone here.
Yeah.
Oh, that was beautiful.
He-
That was beautiful. I think the greatest crime on humanity, oh my God, the greatest crime is indoctrinating people and kids and teaching people that whatever it is they want is outside of them. I think it's the greatest crime because so many people are looking outside for the pill or for the answer or for somebody else or the government's going to fix it for them or whatever it is. And like you said, being the best version of yourself and then watching what your microcosm does as a result of that is the answer, is step one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Everybody agree with
Yeah,
me right
yeah,
now?
Totally agree.
What about creating a community?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've always wanted to establish at the studio is that you can always go to somebody for an answer, or you can always go to somebody and another somebody and another somebody to get multiple answers. Because the best answer to a question is to have choice.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I think for sure. I mean, we wouldn't be, just the two of us wouldn't be who we are if not only we didn't have a community that we had created, but that we weren't here to assist one another. And so do not misunderstand when I say, you know, be the best version of yourself and don't look outside of you. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be who you are, understand that you are creating it, but Ubuntu. It's all about the community. Wendy's greatest strengths are my deficits and vice versa. And together, we create wonderment.
The whole package.
Right?
The whole package, absolutely.
I can't even tell you how many times I've called Wendy and I'm like, Wendy, and then, well, she doesn't call me as much, but I every once in a while have a nug for her.
Yeah.
So yeah, find your people. I mean, there's no
1000%.
Yeah, there's no substitute for that, but also recognizing that nobody knows you better than you. You know, so if something doesn't resonate with you, then it's for you to look at yourself and ask why, because nobody knows better. They could assist, but only you can do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
We yearn for community as a society now, especially nowadays. I mean, it's very, very
Yeah.
hard to find your people when everyone's on their phones, everyone's online.
Yeah.
Like, no one goes outside anymore to really find their group of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what the three of us were talking about earlier, was that I feel like I wasn't able to fully kind of tap into my star unicorn energy until I was finally surrounded by it since working at the studio. It's like we attract those
1000%.
people, and it's like,
I think
That's
that's what we
pretty
try
great.
to develop here. I mean, a lot of times I always try to bring it back to our foundation, regardless of what conversation we have. That community building is so great. Just like Freddie said, he's trying to build a community where we can ask each other these things.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you ask me a question, I'll info dump everything I know on you. You know,
Exactly.
and it's one of those things that having that ability to have that community is amazing. We want to try to nurture it and develop it so that way anybody who comes into the studio can be themselves.
Yeah,
And to actually be who they are. Because once you actually become who you are, you'll realize maybe it's easier for you to figure something out. And to understand, like, maybe I didn't know this because I felt like I was thinking about myself way too much. Once I feel comfortable in my own skin, I can kind of absorb everything else that the universe is throwing at me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You are so freaking wise, because I was actually thinking when you were talking, you know, the hack, the best way to find your community is to find yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then they show up. The unicorns fall out of the sky. Next chapter, by the way.
1000%.
I'm so excited.
1000%.
All right.
Do you think that like technology and social media of today interferes with like that frequency of manifestation that we're talking about right now?
Old people with the music behind me.
I can't hear either.
Do we think that technology interferes with the frequency of manifestation?
Yeah, kind of like our mass thought processes together combining in social media, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I do 100% think so. I think on a frequency level, and I think Wendy could talk to this more as far as the frequency, but also in how it actually appears. If you have a mass consciousness all seeing the same, oh my God, I don't want to, I'm going to a dark place. The same disaster. The same disaster on TV, and then everybody's talking about the disaster, and then they're fighting with each other about the disaster, and then they're picking sides on the disaster, and it's keeping the frequency of fear and anger and dissension. That is for sure going to mess with the collective frequency of manifestation, because if I'm online with this collective consciousness arguing about something, but yet I'm supposed to be embodying the frequency of love and joy and care for this thing that I want, it's totally going to misalign.
Yeah.
But there's also an actual frequency with EMFs and stuff like that. You want to speak to that?
1,000%. So if you've got EMFs and all these other frequencies, firstly, let me piggyback exactly what you said. Very important. So this is why, if we're still concentrating on the disaster, but now we can say, all right, we're going to use our free will choice and say, you know what, I'm not tuning into this anymore.
Yep.
Let me switch it up to find something of where the helpers are. And that, from Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers, has been in my mind for like the last 2 weeks. Because there's an issue, and we talk about all these different things that are going on in the war, or in the world, I meant to say, Freudian slip. But if we can look to see, all right, well, who's fighting to make sure, or who's pushing for, you know, to make sure that solar fields aren't messing up the upstate New York, you know, farmland and all these kinds of things. There's somebody who's tending to that, and that we can focus on in there and donate in there, or give our attention, or share those posts. Now we switch it to, oh my God, this thing is terrible, to now look at what's proactive and what can we do as an individual. So it's a double-edged sword, depending, but it comes down to what you're saying and what you're saying. It's empowering, and what are you choosing to do, us as an individual, and then outwards to the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
And doing that with enough frequency and all of these things, enough of us joining in and kind of like putting in our pebble, now we shift back to the other side, where we can just do away with this other media. Or if we've got this issue, where is somebody doing something to better it? And where can I pour my energy into that? If I can't do something about it, can I donate? If I can't, can I share? If not, can I speak to somebody who's in this field to make me feel?
Or just focus on it.
One
When the
thing.
energy goes, the energy grows. If I'm focusing on the disaster, then that's where the energy is.
1,000%.
But if we're all focusing on something, and it's not to ignore that bad things are happening, but if we focus on the beauty, then the beauty grows.
Absolutely.
And I also think like if
Sorry. Go ahead.
I think also, if you notice, like the what's going on in this world is like lowering your vibration, lowering your frequency, not to ignore it, like you said, but to
Right.
just like get off your phone for a sec. And Wendy and I were talking about this yesterday, kind of when she was doing my reading, which was super fun. She was like, just be in your own presence, just be in your own moment, start coloring, start like doing these things that are creative and just kind of allow you to kind of tap into the frequency that you're meant to be at. And then you'll start to just feel like yourself again.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important too. We kind of forget because we get so lost in the now and what's happening around us and our phones
And life.
and life.
Yeah.
Create.
What about
You just have to create.
what about getting influenced by the mentors in your life when they give you the information that they want you to live? They don't give you the information that's good for you necessarily because it's not what you follow or it's not good for you. How do you break away from that? How do you break away from a parent or an uncle or an aunt, somebody close that tells you something that just doesn't regulate in the direction you want to go? How do you do that?
That's really hard. That's really hard, because especially when you're younger, because we've learned to respect and to idolize and to follow. I mean, the school systems are designed for us to be a bunch of cattle, to follow directions. So it's really at any age, but it's really deciding. You really have to know who you are. I can't stress that enough. And when you know who you are, ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want? How do I get there? What is impeding that? And it could be the uncle saying such and such, or my father's words that were disparaging echoing in my head. What is keeping me from what I want? Okay, how do I rectify that? And again, everything goes back to commitment to self.
Self-exploration.
And what you believe about yourself, and having the courage to eliminate what doesn't serve you in your path. Makes sense, right?
Oh, 100%. I have something I'm dealing with currently, or I've been dealing with the last 6 months. It's like my parents have a thought, and I guess a point of view of what my life should look like right now, and they've moved on elsewhere, and they think I should be in that same area as they are, but I'm like, no, like I feel it somewhere that like I belong here.
And you trust it.
And I trust it, and I'm like, I need to just follow this gut instinct, even though like I care about my parents' opinions so much, and I'm like, I probably should listen to them, but no, there's just something I'm like, I love you guys, but I gotta just do this for myself, at least for now.
1,000.
So it's really, really hard.
That's
At least then, like,
It is.
you know that even if it didn't work out, you did it.
Exactly.
You never live with
That's
the
what you
regret
try
of what
to
if I
remember.
could have not done
regret.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
at least I think you took that step that a lot of people wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people would be like, I'm just gonna go with my parents. I don't know how to make it work, but
Because it's easier.
having the strength to be like, I'm gonna do everything I can to make it work is great.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the commitment to self that I keep talking about. It's
Exactly.
really about ownership of
Yeah.
your life. You know, people are going to say things and people are going to throw things at you. I mean, I say it, I've written it in a million different places. Ignore your critics.
Yeah.
Because if I listened, I wouldn't be sitting
wouldn't
here
be
with
where
you
you
guys,
are.
right? Oh my God, I'd
Exactly.
still be at the yeshiva.
Oh my Lord, I might
Reading
still
my
be in
head
the
against the
pharmacy. Yup.
I don't think any of us would be where we're at right
Yeah,
now if we had
1000%.
listened to everyone. Yeah. So this has been so much fun.
I thought this
think
was amazing.
This was a really good
Yes.
one. I
I
really
love you
enjoyed
guys.
this.
And
I love
hopefully,
you.
I hope that everyone really does listen in your actual book club,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's so many great nuggets of information there.
Yeah,
And
I
even
agree.
if, like I said, you don't really believe, I think that understanding this and seeing how passionate you are, it's really true.
Yeah.
And you can connect to any part of your life. I mean, your experiences, my experiences,
Mm-hmm.
everyone at the studio, and I always love the book club because it really just does open your mind and make it so that way you actually understand yourself a little better too.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You know, I live it. Like, I live it. Like, I walk the walk, and that's why I'm so excited. And it's not woo. It's decoding the woo.
Yeah.
It's really making it real for all of us. So thank you for seeing that.
Yeah, thank you. And where can they find you?
So you could find everything that I've written, all the stuff that I do, at ubuntufishgallery.com. That's UBUNTU fishgallery.com. I'm all over social media as well. But if this doesn't speak to you, there will be something else that will.
Oh,
Yes.
for sure. And then next week we have chapter 5, which
Yes.
is about
Yes, chapter 5 is about, the unicorns.
Well, I can't
So
wait.
chapter 5 is basically like when you start doing all these things and you start recognizing who you are and bringing that to the world, all of a sudden you find your people. And I joke that they fall out of the sky. That's how I found this one. BTW.
awesome.
Yeah,
Super
thank you.
excited. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we get back, I don't know what we're going to be doing. Might be some
wrap it
crazy
up.
stuff. Might
Yeah.
wrap it up, but we'll be right back.